Charlie, Charlie, you can come home now.
You said
Charlie, you gave your life for her. Come home.
But what about Anne Marie?
Say goodbye, Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah. It's me. How you feeling, kid?
Okay, how are you?
Well, I come to say goodbye.
Where are you going?
Just on a little trip. Listen, Squeaker, I want you to do something for me, all right?
Uh-huh.
I want you to take care of Itchy. You know, just while I'm gone. You got a home now, and he doesn't have anybody.
Don't worry, Charlie, I will.
Great. Well, goodbye, little buddy.
Oh, Charlie, I'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll miss you too, Squeaker. Now, you go to sleep, huh?
Charlie, will I ever see you again?
Sure. Sure you will, kid. You know, goodbyes aren't forever.
Then, goodbye, Charlie. I love you.
Yes, here we are, back again on the Greyhorn Pagans Podcast. Welcome, everyone.
Oh my goodness, is there anything else?
Oh,
I was actually all set a half an hour before the show, and I had everything hooked up, and everything was fine, and then...
and then it wasn't.
Lo and behold, yeah, then it wasn't. So I was listening to some of your previous podcasts too before. So
oh well, thank you. Thank you very
so I
much.
have a good feel for your show and so forth. You've had some very interesting guests on.
Yes, I have. I've done. I've been doing this for, I want to say, like 4 years now. 4 years on the podcast, and I have had the fortune to meet some interesting people. Some a little more quirky than others, but
Yeah,
all very interesting nonetheless. And so yeah, you know, being another one of those interesting guests. And for those who may not be familiar with you and what you do just yet, introduce yourself. What do you do? What are you about? And what's up with your background? All the animals.
sure. Well, these are the background is actually the covers of my book. So I have 12 books. I just published my 12th book. So I'm a medium. I call myself a pet medium because I like to deal with pets more than people, but I do deal with people. I'm also an author of 12 books, and they're all true paranormal, and they're sharing my experiences. So in my daytime job, I'm a meteorologist, so I'm a scientist. So I use science to explain how the paranormal works. I also made the distinction between earthbound entities, which I call ghosts, and those who have crossed over, which I call spirits. And then I explain how they work in terms of energy and messages and communications.
The Greyhorn Pagans Podcast is proudly sponsored by Shop Reclaim Repurpose and their Nefatafel set. That is Viking Chess, a centuries-old two-player strategy game that is easy to learn but rich with complexity. The defending player aims to escape the corner with their king, while the attacking player aims to capture the king. Nefatafel is about outwitting your opponent and making strategic decisions based on the board's ever-changing conditions. This portable version of Nefatafel, or Tafel for short, is perfect for history buffs, Viking enthusiasts, or anyone looking for a unique and challenging board game that can be taken on the go. Perfect for the upcoming holidays, of course. And with my code seen on screen now, which will also be in the description box down below, of course, you can get 10% off your purchase on one or more, of course, Toffel sets. Simply go to his website, shopreclaimrepurpose.etsy.com. Use coupon SteinfoxTaffel for 10% off your entire purchase. Again, coupon code SteinfoxTaffel, or go to the link shown on screen for 10% off. Thank you so much for Shop Reclaim Repurpose for sponsoring us. It means the world. Now let's get back into the show, shall we?
Oh, wow. That is very, very diverse, very versatile. That's awesome. And I absolutely agree with you that, if that you like to deal with pets more than with people. I do agree, at least animals are honest. I have two cats myself, and they'll make it very much known when they like or dislike something. So
Yes.
a pet medium, that is I am familiar with mediums. My wife is a medium herself, but a pet medium, how did you get to that? Why pets?
So my first experience goes all the way back to when I was a teenager. I was 13 years old and totally unknowing about disability until my late grandfather appeared to me, and he scared me in full color when nobody else was home. So right then I knew something was weird, and I had a really good relationship with my mom and dad, with my parents. And I told them, and my mother said, we have to talk because she had that ability. She was afraid to use it. Turned out her father, the grandfather that appeared to me, also had the ability. So it runs on my mother's side of the family. And I said, okay. I shelved that for a long time. Then it came around to 2005 when I had a puppy. And the dog that's directly above my head here, his name is Buzz. He is a Weimaraner. He was given to me as a birthday gift in October 2004. And in 2005, when I was walking him, his leash opened, ran across the street, was killed by a car at 7 months old. And he reawakened my abilities. He sent me musical signs, he sent me physical signs, he sent me audible signs, a lot of things, which I wrote down, and then eventually that became the basis of my first book.
Wow, that's so sad. At 7 months old, dang.
Yeah, so as a medium, I've learned that some animals or people are only here a short time because they have a certain mission in life. It was Buzz's mission to teach me how pets communicate from the afterlife, so that I could in turn teach other people what signs to look for and bring them healing when they lose a pet, whether tragically or out of old age.
Yeah. Okay. I have heard similar stories like that. A lot of mediums will, or the more spiritually gifted people will say that. So I guess obvious next question. How do pets communicate with us? Because I know my cats, they just, they meow at me. They complain whenever I'm, not doing something or not getting something that they want. Do they still speak to you in their animal language, so to speak, or how does that work? How does that go?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a number of ways that pets will communicate from the other side to their parents. So if you have a cat that passed, your cat who passed would do similar things to what they did when they were alive. So for instance, if they like to sleep at the top of your head on your pillow at night, on occasion when your cat visits in spirit, you may feel like someone or a cat or something is brushing your hair on your pillow. You may feel them walk across the bed, the end of the bed, and there's no one there. You may hear them meow from what sounds like another room or something very faint, or maybe even outside. And that's because it takes a lot of energy for a pet to communicate and make an audible noise. There's tactile signs. They can touch you, and you may feel cold. which I can explain scientifically because I'm a meteorologist. You may feel a slight pressure. You might feel a tingling, like especially when you're laying in bed. Pets that pass have this affinity for coming up on the bed when we're sleeping or trying to sleep and trying to cuddle up with us to let us know. So there's just a few ways.
Okay. So more the nonverbal. Yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause it would take a lot to actually make a physical sound if you don't have a physical body anymore.
Yeah, so it requires a lot of energy. So one thing I've learned, Stan, is that when we pass away, when our physical bodies die, we have energy that is within us. If you think of cells splitting and thoughts as little electrical impulses, that energy has to go somewhere because of a law we have in thermodynamics called the law of conservation of energy. It says that energy can't be destroyed, only transformed. So I've learned that it couples with our memories, our knowledge of this life, and our personality. And we choose right then to stay earthbound as what I call a ghost, which is a very bad idea, or we cross over into the light, heaven, Valhalla, paradise, whatever, what I call a spirit. Ghosts are stuck where they decide to stay. They cannot communicate with anybody unless a medium walks in or somebody sensitive. They also can't leave the place that they decided to haunt for some reason. Spirits who've crossed over, like our grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever, they can come to us anywhere, anytime, any place in the world. And I've had signs from my parents who have both passed when we were on vacation in Italy, and my dog, Buzz, who passed when we were on vacation in Puerto Rico. They will do things like lead you to someone that looks like them. They will bring you to a sign with their name on it, as my mother did when I was in Germany, and I was talking about my Italian mother to my husband, and I said, I feel my parents are with us on this trip. And he says, well, did she give you a sign? And I said, no, but I'm keeping my eyes out. We were on a bus, and we were going from a cruise ship, into a town. We drove by a supermarket, and it was the supermarket was called Norma. Norma was my mother's first name. What are the chances of seeing an Italian woman's name on a store in Germany?
I would say those chances are pretty slim. That is that's a hell of a coincidence if that's just, if it's just that. Chances are very, very slim. So I would say that is definitely your mother pointing you towards something or guiding you towards something or someone herself, perhaps.
Just to let us know that she's on the vacation with us. And So the main rule that I've learned from spirit is that there's no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to signs from people or pets on the other side. They make it happen. They make us be at the right time, at the right place, at the right moment. And another example of that is when people look up and see rainbows. I just received an email from a gentleman that lost his dogs, and he said that it was a sunny day with just a few clouds around, and right after his dog passed, there was a rainbow. And he couldn't explain it, but he thought that is a sign for my dog that she's okay. And that's what it was.
She literally crossed the rainbow bridge.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, actually.
It is. And what's interesting too, as a meteorologist, rainbows, first of all, you have to be looking at it at the right angle. Secondly, rainbows don't last very long. They're not up there very long. And clouds move. As clouds move, clouds change. So there's a lot of factors. So timing, looking at the right place at the right time, these are all things that spirit do to influence us so we can see signs from them.
I never would have thought of that. I mean, I know that there is no such thing as coincidence, of course. Mm-hmm. In my faith, we call it the web of weird. We are all connected to each other in, some way. And I've heard my wife say that, it's a sign from this one or sign from that one. Most oftentimes my late brother, we unfortunately, lost him a few years ago. His own mind got the better of him. Through my wife, I know that he is still there, and I know that, as an example, it was, I believe, either last spring, I actually saw someone on the bus, and at a first glance, I was like, what, Dawe? At a first glance, it was like, is that my brother sitting there? No, that can't be, because he's not here with us anymore, but I could have sworn it was my brother. So, I, of course, told my wife, and, she said, like, yeah, that was him, or at least, him telling you, like, hey, I may be gone physically, I'm still here, still thinking of all of you, still love all of you. So yeah, I definitely had those signs, but I had no idea that it was like guided even that much.
Yeah, sure. They will influence us to do things like, and I'll give you another example. I mentioned that my puppy Buzz, the Weimaraner, passed in 2005. In 2009, we were taking a vacation in Puerto Rico. We had never been to Puerto Rico. We had flown into Old San Juan, and we were walking around. We walked around, and we came to an intersection where there were 5 streets with a fountain in the middle of them. And we had to choose which way to go. And we didn't have a map. We had no idea where we were going. So my husband said, which way do you want to go? And, of course, I said, we've never been here. I have no idea. And he said, well, think about it. So I did. And I thought, I feel like we have to go down the second street to the right. And we did. We got to the end of the street, and there was a dog walker. The dog walker had quite a few dogs. And one of them was a Weimaraner that looked just like my dog Buzz. And we walked over to that dog walker, and I heard Buzz in my head say, Dad, do you know what today is? And I had to think for a minute, and it was the anniversary of his passing. It was February 22nd, 2009, 4 years after he passed.
Wow.
So another thing I've learned is that spirits will give us messages around birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. Anniversaries in terms of pets would be anniversary of adoption or anniversary of passing.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, because those are important days.
Yeah, and the reason that a pet would acknowledge those things those are the days that our emotional energy is usually higher.
Yeah.
And as you know, as a cat dad, they can read your emotional energy. So they know when you're sick, they know when you're happy, they know when you're mad at them,
Yeah.
And they'll come to you when you're in a good way, or even if you're sick and you need help. And conversely, if you're not in a good way, they will go somewhere else, right?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. If I, think of my, my oldest cat, Timmy, aka Big Red. He's a big sweetheart, but yeah, he will do that whenever I'm feeling like a little down, he'll come snuggle up to me, and especially at night, indeed. And when I go to bed, he likes to lay on top of me or lay at the foot end, and then.
So when he's not around anymore, he will be doing that in spirit.
I sure hope so. I mean, he's not going anywhere for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He is getting older. He is like 10 years old already, so he is turning into quite the grumpy old man, I have to say. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And I remember I was with an ex-girlfriend of mine. Actually, she hadn't seen her dogs in years because they stayed with her mother, and she, basically had to escape that household because it wasn't healthy. It wasn't emotionally
toxic,
healthy. Yeah, very, very much. And I believe it was also like when we came back from like a weekend away to Antwerp. I believe it was like we came home, we stayed at my parents' place for the night, and then went back to our place, and she got the message that one of her dogs passed, like one of her favorites. And I believe the way that he passed was that he hit his head, I believe, like quite hard, unfortunately. And this is just from memory. I don't know if that was actually the case. I wasn't well versed in it back then, but it was that same evening we heard a big bong upstairs, like something or someone actually like ran into the bedpost or into the door, you know, like kind of confused, not realizing where they're going. Obviously, with just hearing the news of her dog passing, she was like, wow, he's here. Actually, she would also always tell me stories about that. You know, if one of her dogs had passed at night, he would still indeed like come lay at the foot of the bed with her. You know, she'd feel the pressure on the blankets, but you know, there was no physical dog, let's say, to be seen.
Yeah, and that's very common. One of the things I mentioned earlier is that sometimes we will feel cold spots, like coolness around. So as a meteorologist, I had to think about how that would be possible. And what I've learned is because ghosts and spirits are energy, they need energy. So they will draw energy from the motion of air molecules, because air molecules are always moving in a house outside. Fast-moving molecules of air are warm air. Slower-moving molecules are colder air. So when they take the energy from the motion of molecules, they slow them down, and they create a cold spot where they are manifesting.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way.
I have a whole bunch of energy-related
but
ideas about ghosts and spirits.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like taking the environmental energy, creating a cold spot.
So I've learned a lot about the different types of energy that both earthbound ghosts require and spirits who've crossed over. They both draw on physical energies. And that's the similarity between the two entities. They both draw on heat, light, water, and electricity. Those things will fuel either one of them. That's why a lot of haunted locations are near bodies of water.
Yeah. And especially if it's like running water, like a creek or a brook even.
Yes.
When there's motion or energy. Yeah.
Now, I live in Maine in the U.S., and we're right off the Atlantic Ocean. So we're right on the Atlantic Ocean. So we have a lot of water energy. There's a lot of wave energy. And almost every single town up and down the entire coast is haunted with different ghosts.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So those are physical energies that empower ghosts and spirits. There's a difference between the two entities. And I've come to realize this, that emotions are also energy when you think about it. So ghosts draw on negative emotional energy, which are fear, anxiety, depression, and anger. Those are negative emotions. And ghosts feed off of that. Because they're tied to Earth, they are negative emotional energy. So those negative emotions empower them. So for instance, if you go into a place that's haunted and you are feeling anxious, you're empowering the ghost to get strong enough to communicate with you. Spirits, on the other hand, love, faith, and hope are the things that give them the energy to communicate with you. So that's why they can communicate with you anytime, anywhere in the world, because the love that you have for them and they share with you is always there.
So, then that like also would fit with, I do like the ghost hunter shows, like every now and then. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I know it's very heavily disputed, all of it, but it's fun every now and then. And what you'll hear a lot is that if they walk into a room, if they walk into an open space, it's like there's a very heavy energy here. And if it's indeed a ghost, the thing that they are looking for, in the name, it would make sense that if it is a negative energy, that it would be a very, very heavy energy, especially, they always go like to go to places like the old castles or abandoned hospitals, abandoned old prisons, you know, where a lot of things happens, you know, both good and bad. Well, often, you know, more bad. That's, yeah.
So I've also thought about why I've communicated with a number of earthbound ghosts, because I've been on paranormal investigations for 15 years and trying to figure out why they're there and then help them cross over. So I've learned a couple of things about that too, which were really eye-opening. When we die, we get a quick review of our life. I have found that people who are very devout into their religions, whatever religion they are usually magnify their infractions to the point where they don't think they're worthy of crossing over. Or if they cross over, they think they're going to a bad place. Now, every spirit I've talked to said that there isn't a bad place. It's just love and peace on the other side, and that being stuck earthbound as a ghost with no one to speak to for eternity is actually a hellish place.
So it's like being literally hell on earth.
Hell on earth, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, think about a place you've been to that's haunted. And if you or nobody can communicate with the ghost that's in there, you can't find out what they want or figure out a way to help them. Because you don't know their story. Ghosts who choose to stay earthbound are trapped without a way to communicate. And they also can't communicate with the spirits of their loved ones who have crossed over.
Oh,
that makes it even worse.
There's even a barrier or a veil between those two.
Yeah, if you think of spirits as positive energy and you think of ghosts as negative energy, it works the same way as a magnet, that they repel each other.
Yeah.
They can't connect.
Okay.
So another little science inference there.
And you said that some will choose to stay here. But if it is, you know, that bad, if it is, well, quite literally hell on earth, and you're not able to communicate with anything or anyone, which I imagine gets incredibly lonely, even as a ghostly form, why would you choose that?
Well, they choose it out of fear, for the most part. That's why prisons are haunted. Prisons are loaded with ghosts, because when they die, they have this awakening that they're in prison because they did something terrible. So their fear crossing over and going to hell. Again, no spirit that I've ever talked to has ever said there is a such thing as hell. So, and you know, I think that hell was created to make people fall in line with whatever somebody wanted them to fall in line with.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, fear is a way that you can get people to do what you want them to do.
It can be a powerful motivator. That
sadly.
is for sure. Yeah,
sadly we know. But that's why they don't cross over. You know, even so, hospitals also. Not that they've done anything wrong, but hospitals are also rife with ghosts, because when people wake up in a hospital, when people die in a hospital, and they awaken as energy with their memories, they can be confused that they died in a hospital. They're not home. Where are they? And what I've learned is that because these entities of energy are like a battery, over time, that charge drops. That charge drops to a point where they don't have enough energy to open the door to the other side. And that's why, as paranormal investigators, we have to go in and we have to combine emotional energies of 4 or 5 people to get strong enough to open a doorway for that ghost to cross over. So it's all about energy.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Oh, that's actually making a whole lot of sense. Like, a lot of things are clicking, or a lot of puzzle pieces are coming together now. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I have, I've been doing this for about 15 years, and the scientist part of me says, okay, there has to be a reason why these things are the way they are. And it wasn't only until last summer that I had the thought that the entities of energy are just like a battery, and they linger so long that charge is going to drain away. And it's up to someone to help give them enough energy to cross over. But that I've done a number of crossings over too. Have you ever done any crossings over?
No, I haven't. I know my wife has helped. She's helped with her grandfather, with her granddaddy.
Wow.
He was in the last part of his life. He was very sick. He was in a lot of pain, and my wife, not fully aware of what she was capable yet, she did help him cross over, and she helped one of her pets. Actually, she helped her cross over as well. Parts medium, parts Reiki as well. You know, taking the pain away so that they can peacefully cross over. And she has had very mixed feelings about that for a very, very long time. You know, it of course, on the one hand, it's beautiful that she was able to help to, you know, at least take the pain away or alleviate the pain so that they were comfortable with crossing over. But at the same time, there is that, you know, very human part of her that, you know, like fears the worst. Like, what if I didn't do that? Would they still, you know, be here? Did I do something wrong? She's been very, very anxious about that for a long time.
There's no need to be anxious about it. It's actually the greatest gift you can give to anybody to help them cross over. And it takes a lot of our energy too, physical, mental, and emotional energy. And I find that too when I connect to a ghost, an earthbound ghost, or when I do a reading for a pet. I do pet readings on the weekends, and it takes a lot of energy out of me. And usually after 2 of them, I'm totally physically exhausted.
Yeah, I recognize that with my wife as well. Sometimes, especially my brother will come through and she will just be absolutely exhausted afterwards. And it's not even a, you know, like very, very long. She won't channel him very, very long or, but it's a lot. I recognize that. Yeah. And with ghosts, the energy is functioning as a battery on a charge, as you said. I wonder then what happens if the charge runs out? What happens if nobody is able to help them?
That's a very good question. So I have thought about that too. And when there's not enough energy, the energy will just linger. Just like having a light bulb on a dimmer switch. If you turn the dimmer switch all the way down, you can only see basically the outline of the light bulb.
Yeah.
At the very lowest power. It's when you add energy, you turn up the dimmer switch. You can see the filaments. So you can see the whole light bulb. You can see the whole room. So what I've come to understand is that ghosts are basically have this minimum energy level, and they just linger there until energy comes to them. And that gives them enough strength to do something, perhaps. There's also the other thing too, is that I've also realized that there's no such thing as time for ghosts and spirits. Time is a physical thing. Time is a physical thing in the world, like 365 days or 1 year here. 1 year on Saturn is 29 Earth years. So it depends on where you are. As a spirit or a ghost, you're not really in the same dimensional, you're not in the physical dimension. So, but that doesn't mean that ghosts don't know that time has passed, because they can see the way people dress. They can see things change within the structure from which they live. So they'll know that way that time's passing.
Okay. I mean, I like to ponder on the ideas of like the higher realms, and I've heard it said many times, and I definitely do believe that is the case. If we're like talking like higher, lower dimensions, I'm not sure how that works with the spirit realm, if that's like just a dimension next to ours, perhaps. But if you look at like from the 4th dimension down to the 3rd dimension, how I have heard it described a lot, which makes a lot of sense for me, is like one of those old school film reels. Like if you look down on the film reel, like you can see the whole timeline at once, basically. But it's when you're part of the film, part of the 3rd dimension, you can see that, but that would be like the 2nd dimension for us, just flat. Yeah. So I guess how does that work in the spirit world, you said, they can see time passing in, like people change, clothes change, buildings, cities change. So does that mean that they are still in a dimension within our physical dimension or next to us? I'm very curious about that. That's one of the things that always still bugs me.
Yeah, I haven't really explored the dimensional aspect of it, to be honest with you. All I know is that they because they choose to stay earthbound, they share that space with us until they cross over, until they become a spirit. So ghosts are kind of an anomaly. I mean, they're in kind of a different dimension, but then again, they can make contact with us physically. So they are here. It's just not that they're not physically here. It's just energy with a conscious. Okay. I know it's kind of weird. It's hard to really conceive that. And people ask me too that when people cross over in spirit, what's it like on the other side? Do people have jobs? Do people live in houses? No, they don't. They're energy.
I would hope not.
No, absolutely not.
Imagine that, crossing over, but still having to go to work 9 to 5. No thanks.
And what about those people who die in their workplace? Wouldn't that be horrible? I mean, and then they haunt their workplace? Talk about a bad place to haunt when you're...
I mean, I guess it depends on how much you liked or disliked your colleagues.
Yeah, but your colleagues aren't going to be around long enough. If you're an earthbound ghost, they're all going to be gone.
That's true. Darn.
Yeah, I definitely not haunt the place in which I worked.
No, that's
not a good idea.
Even if time as we know it is not really a thing there, that would still be just a waste of time or a waste of energy, I guess, then in that case.
Absolutely.
You can do so much better, so much more.
Yeah, just cross over. You can go anywhere you want. You don't have to stay at work for the rest of your eternity.
Oh, well, thanks. That's cool. So you mentioned there is no, from what you have heard with the spirits that you have communicated with, there is no such thing as hell. Good thing. I agree with that. I've done plenty of research into that. Then what is there in the afterlife, if you will? Is it something that we create for ourselves? Like you said that like religion or their beliefs also play a large role. So, I am Germanic pagan, Germanic heathen. I follow the old gods of Europe. Mm-hmm. We have realms where you go to also depending on how you die.
Sure.
So would it be the case if I just believe hard enough in that, if that's, truly part of my core, my essence, that I manifest that in a way after my passing? Or is there some general realm?
Well, from what I understand, it's really a general realm, but there are different levels of the afterlife. I mean, I've been told there are 3. I think in the Japanese culture, there are 7. It all differs. And, honestly, we won't know until we get there. So
that's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
All I do know is that, so I learned that there are 3 levels because from a personal experience, when my aunt passed away, my mother's sister, back in the early 90s, my mother and my aunt had a love-hate relationship. Always had a love-hate relationship. Because my aunt would steal my mother's clothes when my mother was single and never give them back. And she would do other things and so forth. Mm-hmm. And my mother's side of the family is Italian. And I always told my mother, I said, I know Italians invented the word vendetta, but you have to let it go. Have to let it go.
Yeah, okay.
But they didn't, because that was part of their upbringing. They would hold on to things. So when my aunt passed away, she wanted forgiveness from my mother. And I know this is awful to say, but my mother said no for all of the transgressions that she endured over decades and decades from my aunt. So me having this quirky little gift, and this was before it really exploded. This was my only interim experience, really. Mm-hmm. My aunt appeared to me and begged me for forgiveness from my mother so that she could go up to the next level in the afterlife. My aunt appeared as a shadow figure in my bedroom, almost 20 years or 15 years after she passed. And she scared the hell out of me.
I can imagine so.
Yeah. And she said, I need Norma's forgiveness so that I can go to the next level where I can be at peace more, because I can't forgive myself for the things that I've done. Well, Stain, it took me 5 years. No, not 5 years. I'm sorry. It took me over 20 years to get my mother's forgiveness. And because my aunt kept coming to me, and I said that Italians invented the word vendetta. So finally my aunt kept coming back to me, and I finally said to my mother, look, she's been gone a long time. She needs to have that peace. And my mother finally said, okay, if it's going to bring her peace, I forgive her. So with that, after she heard that, after she said that, I got in the car and I turned on my radio, my CD player at the time. And the song that was queued up happens to be a song that reminded me of my aunt. I had no idea that it was next on the CD player. And I just stopped for a minute and I thought, okay. I said, if you are okay and you have achieved the next level on the afterlife, please let me know. The CD skipped 3 times. And I thought, okay, this CD has never skipped. So I said, okay, give me another sign, or give me another sign to make sure that that just wasn't a quirk. That CD skipped again about 3 times. And it never, and then it played through. So that was my aunt's way of confirming that she was okay. And I will tell you that every time I played that CD afterward, it never skipped. Never skipped.
Oh wow! So it's not the CD, it's not the CD player, because it would have. Wow. So I mean, that's for all the naysayers that are that are still out there. That debunks that. If it's just once and never again, that's not a coincidence. And especially if you asked for it, it's like, once, yeah, okay, it's still technology. We saw at the beginning of this recording how technology can work against us. So, okay, that might happen. But if you ask it for it a second time, the same thing happens. Yeah, I mean, that's a sign. That's absolutely a sign. So 3 levels, okay.
Yeah, so that's how I learned. I learned from my aunt. But, there could be more. I don't know, but this is just my personal experience. And on a related note, spirits also use music to send us signs. So if you get in your car, your vehicle, and you turn on the radio and a song comes on that reminds you of somebody that passed away, whether it's be person or pet, that means that spirit influenced you to get in your vehicle at that time and turn on the radio at that very moment. So you would hear that song to know that they're with you. Has that happened to you?
Not as in a sign, but I am a big lover of music for sure, and there are definitely certain songs that I associate with the people I love.
What about your brother? Is there a song that reminds you of your brother that you've heard every now and then?
Well, our music tastes differ a whole lot, actually. He was I'm quite the metalhead, the heavier the better, give me growls, grunts and all that. He always thought that was just noise, and like, can't I just turn it down for once? No. He was more the indie pop, indie rock singer, songwriter type. And yeah, so no music. Really, what I have done something the other way around. He, a brilliant writer, brilliant script writer, one of the best that the the Film Academy in Amsterdam has seen in a long time. His final project actually got picked up and turned into a series. At least, you know, a series on YouTube. Watch the full thing. Of course, it's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
And I have written a book myself too. Probably not as good as your books, and only one instead of 12. And I like kind of based on my own story, but set in a semi-fictionalized setting. And I have named one of the cats of the main character. I named it after the main character of my brother's movie, as to honor him as well. I added like one more letter, so to make it a different name, but still as a tribute to my brother. Because also, like at the time when they were shooting his movie, I worked as a freelance cook at the time, and he asked me to do catering for them. My name, or the name that I went by professionally at that time, is actually in the end credits as the caterer. And what he has also done, it's in one episode, he named a character after me.
Wow.
I at the time I was a freelance cook, I went by Chef Stang,
Mm-hmm.
and he named a character, a side character. He named it Chef Stang, and that character was a wheat farmer, of course, which I thought was very funny. It was an idea of a friend of his from school who also worked on the movie, and I am still very honored that he did that, and I love the fact even more that it was my brother himself who played the character. He had no lines or anything, was, you know, on screen very, very shortly, but still plays quite a integral part in the plot of that episode. So, you know, that, and I still love to reminisce about that. I still love to think about that, you know, in so many ways, not just as brothers, but, you know, even in our personal projects that mean a lot to us, we are still connected with each other. But music-wise, no, not really. There is my parents are still here, thankfully, but there are definitely songs that I associate with my mother and with my father. I have those songs also set as a custom ringtone for them, of course, for my mother, because she told me she played that a lot when I was still in the womb. Kiss, Seal, Kiss from a Rose.
Oh yeah, Kiss
is
from a
what
Rose.
my
Yeah.
mother played a lot, and my father from a Dutch artist. That was a song that he heard a lot when he was younger and in the hospital for quite a time. When he had some issues when he was like just a few months old. So Ramses Shaffi with Sammy, and it became one of his favorite songs, because also one of the kids that was in the room with him at the hospital was called Sammy. And they became, you know, over time, the time that they spent together in the hospital, they became, you know, good friends. And so that's the song that I will always associate with my father, and a song that I will also always associate with my mother. And I still quote my late grandmother. Yeah, she always told me, if you want to better the world, start by making a better you. Start with yourself.
That's great advice.
Yes, it is. And I took that advice, and yeah, life has gotten a lot better. So I will still quote her whenever, and I guess the thing that I miss most about her is grandma's cooking, because she just always made sure there was too much.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's a great way to honor her, though, is to just live by her message. So,
yeah. I mean, it wasn't until a few years ago, a while ago, that I really, you know, began to see the value in that. Because, you know, as a teenager, you know, rebellious teenager, it's like, yeah, whatever, grandma, like, And then you go through life, you go through some things that shape you, that sharpen you, that create character, and then you're like, oh, she was right.
It's interesting about where we find people that will change our lives. It's so awesome to hear that your grandmother was pivotal in giving you that mindset. I wasn't close to any of my grandparents. One of them had passed. Well, two of them had passed before I was even born, and the others wasn't close to them. But early on, though, when I was a teenager, I was kind of a quiet teenager, and I needed some inspiration. And you may laugh, but the person I found the inspiration from was Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton, because of her, she was optimistic. She was happy. She loved everybody. She taught me how to appreciate the simple things in life. And even when I was struggling financially, I was still happy. I was still happy with anything. I was appreciative of a good cup of coffee, a beautiful sunrise, a phone call from a friend. That's all it took. And that's exactly what spirits on the other side want us to do, is that every time I've spoken to a spirit on the other side, they say, appreciate the simple things. That's the big lesson. And once you start doing that, as you said, your life got so much better.
Yeah. Dolly Parton. Okay.
Yeah.
She's not a bad example. She is,
I think if everybody could be like Dolly Parton, this world would be an awesome place. Love everybody.
Agreed.
Accept
I
everybody. Agree. Yeah. Sadly, the world is not like that. But
no, but hey, we can still strive for it.
we can try.
There is that ripple effect. Of course, that's also why my grandmother, of course, said, start with yourself, because if you're happy, people around you see that you're happy, which makes them happy, etc., etc.
I want to jump back to pets for a minute, because you're a cat dad. I know we're covering a lot, but I've covered a lot. So one thing I forgot to mention up front is that I have 3 series of books. One is called Pets and the Afterlife. And in those books, I teach people how their pets are giving them signs so that they don't need to pay a medium, really. They can learn it themselves and pay attention. The second series of books is called Ghosts versus Spirits. So they're paranormal investigations versus spirits that I've communicated with. The third one is Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation. Whenever I go on vacation, I'm sure your wife experiences this. Dead people like to talk to you.
It's kind of creepy, but okay.
It is. But so I went to Ireland and I went to England, and those are the topics of 2 of my 3 books in that series. And I learned history by talking to dead people at the time that I later verified when I went home. It was fascinating.
That's an interesting way to learn the history of the land by...
It is.
I mean, I guess it's, as close as a source as you can get, the people that actually lived through it, that are actually, that actually live there, are there, just not actually there.
Physically there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever I go anywhere, whether it be an investigation or a vacation or whatever, I always keep a journal with me and I write everything down and then I verify it later. And I sketch ghosts out, by the way. So in my books, people will see ghosts that I've sketched out. And every time I go on a paranormal investigation and I do that, I'm happy to say that the people in the home will always say that is the ghost that they saw. So I've been 100% so far. And one of the sketches in one of my books, Case Files of Inspired Ghost Tracking, we had a technical team that went in first and took infrared images, and they caught one of this ghost. Then I went in with another medium and I sketched this ghost out. After I was done, the tech team days later emailed me the picture side by side. They look alike. They look the same. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But getting back to pets for just a minute, being a cat dad, you need to know that your cat is listening to every single thing you say, and they will remember every single thing you say. There was a cat that I did a reading for, and I love this story, so I say it often, but I never get tired of repeating it. There was a woman named Ingrid who had written me for a reading about her cat named Buddy. Buddy gave me all kinds of information, but he gave me a word that I've never heard before. And the word was mala. Never heard of that word. I know in Spanish, mala is bad, but that wasn't it. Anyway, so I wrote it. I do all my readings by email, and I sent it to her. And I said, I have no idea what this word means, but he said it over and over again, so it must mean something. So she wrote me back and she said, I enjoyed the reading, I understood everything, and the word mala stood out because only two living things know what that word means to me. And she said, me and Buddy. She said every morning when she wakes up, she opens her bedroom door, Buddy comes in to her bedroom. She sits down with Buddy. She does a meditation called the mala meditation.
Wow. Okay.
So that was crazy. Dogs do the same thing. There was a dog who came through to me that gave me the number 512 to his dad. It was a black Labrador retriever. And the dad said, no idea what that means. He wrote me back 8 months later and said, I'm the guy that you said, my black lab said 512. I think I finally figured it out. He said, I want to tell you that I am a doctor. I was in my office this week. Patient came in. He was suffering from a collapsed lung. I wrote the medical code down. It was 512. My dog passed from collapsed lungs.
Wow.
512.
Wow. So they even remembered that, or like knew that. Oh, that is special.
And they get help from human spirits too for things. I mean, especially when it comes to numbers, they can send repeating numbers too. They're called angel numbers. So have you seen repeating numbers since your brother passed?
I will often see the same patterns. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had that a lot, actually. And, come to think of it, it's the, 15 seems to be a very prevalent number within our family.
15?
Yeah, 15. Like his birthday was on the 15th of October.
It's 4:15 right now, PM. My time.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes.
My daughter's birthday is on the 15th of April. My son's birthday is on the 15th of May. It was at 15 years old that I got my first long-term girlfriend. So I'll still see that a lot. And yeah, by happenstance just now as well. Yeah.
Not a coincidence. So that's your brother.
Not.
This particular instance is your brother that made you talk about 15 because it's 15 on the clock.
Yeah. And because his birthday is October 15th, and I just remembered 15, we have a lot of things with 15.
Fascinating. Okay. So, interestingly enough, I wrote a book called Kindred Spirits about a spirit named Ed, whose birthday is also October 15th.
Okay.
He is my husband's late partner, who I've never met. He died long before I met my husband. And he's been with us since the first day we met. And he has given us signs. He uses pennies with the date 1996 on it. The year he passed, I have truckload of pennies with 1996 on it whenever he's around. He sent us a lookalike when we were lost in England in a forested area at sunset, and this one guy came out of nowhere, he was a Royal Mail delivery driver. He got out of his truck, I flagged him down, and I thought I was just going to pass out because he looked exactly like Ed's picture had Ed lived to be in his 50s.
Wow.
And my husband thought the same thing. He said, did you see that guy? I said, yeah, he looks exactly like Ed would have looked had he lived to be in his 50s. He also helped me solve the mystery behind his own death. Oh. So all of that is in that book.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of crazy. But he's proven that he's with our dog in spirit. And he's done that using So I'm trying to tie all this in here between the
Sure.
numbers and the pets and spirits. So he uses coins. So dated 1996, the year he passed. Every time one of our dogs have passed, within a couple of days, we have found a coin dated 1996. So that's Ed's way of saying our dog is with him. And Ed always wanted a dog when he was alive. So I've been told now he has 4 of our dogs in spirit.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we have 4
Well,
in spirit.
So he was he born on the 15th of October, or did he pass on the 15th of October?
No, he was born on October 15th.
Then, wow, because my brother's birth year is actually 1995. So
Wow.
very close. Yeah, he's in the. I guess that's one thing he has on me. He's in the club of 27 with all the great names that are in that club as well. So kind of jealous about that, I gotta say. You know, he gets to hang out with guys like Kurt Cobain, for example. You know, the whole Club of 27 thing. It's,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well, there's definitely, no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to numbers, when it comes to finding coins with a certain year on them. It is interesting, though, that he shares the same birthday of a special spirit that has been around me for now 20 years and is always around me. He just showed up again today.
of course he did.
Yeah, in the form of a pickup truck that he used to drive. Same pickup truck, same color, same model, same year. From 1992. What are the chances of seeing that?
1992, which is my year of birth.
Okay. All right.
That's
I'm not going to tell you mine.
I want to say 1990. You can't be that much older than I am.
Yeah, it's bad lighting in here. But thank you.
Of course. No, pickup truck. That reminds me of something like my wife's son, her goober, as she calls him. He is sensitive to these things as well. So she'll sometimes ask him like, "Hey, can you help mommy find something?" And there was this one day last summer, I believe, when I go outside, my cats will follow me. Like wherever I go, they follow me. Timmy, the older one, Red Cat, he knows where to go. He'll find his way. My other cat, the baby, Celine, she, is still kind of struggling. I, came home from just doing groceries, just everyday things. And it was getting a little late. And I was like, well, I really speak of the Red Devil. I think.
There's a tail right there.
Yeah, big boy. Yeah.
Heard you calling.
Love you. Yeah. Shaggart. Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. Had to introduce you. You know how that goes.
Somebody wants a treat, I think.
He's a fatty, yes. No, but I had no idea where Timmy or Celine was. I knew where I kind of left them, and they never go far. They have like their own little territory, the own like parts of the neighborhood where they will just hang around, and I know those spots by now. I couldn't find them, none of the usual spots, and especially with Timmy, like that was the most special one, and ties into the pickup truck. Here in the Netherlands, not a whole lot of pickup trucks. It's our country is just too small. Our roads aren't built for that like they are in the States. But my wife's son, he swore like up and down that Timmy was somewhere near a red pickup truck, like a red truck. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sure, but like there really aren't any trucks here. But proving me wrong, because lo and behold, when I looked at one of the parking spaces, like just down the road, where Timmy was a red Ford Raptor.
No way.
A red truck. And he saw Celine near a a body of water, and one of the shops that I went to and the one that Celine walked with me was near a body of water, and she was still there, kind of, scared and confused, like, I don't see my dad. I don't know where I am. So, 2 out of 2, and even as specific as a red truck.
Yeah.
Here in the Netherlands, in the Flower Bowl region, even, like, I don't even live in like a larger city. It's in a smaller town, so chances are incredibly slim that one actually drives around here. But taught me to not doubt him. If he says that he's there,
What a gift.
then I'm gonna look for it. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was
That's
just
incredible.
Yeah, it was that detail, the specificity of it that I was like, wow, okay.
So I would guess he would be psychic because he can connect to the energies of the living and the past, the present, the future. And to me, I'm only a medium, which means I can only talk to people and pets who passed. So I always say that psychics have a different gift. They have a greater gift because they can connect to the living and what's happening and what has happened and what will happen. And by the way, if I cannot communicate with living pets, that is an animal communicator.
Okay.
I also cannot communicate with wild animals because wild animals do not know our language. They don't know our habits. They don't live with us. So they don't have a way to recognize what we do and what we say and how we behave. And we don't have that with them either. Because people will always ask me, can you connect with a lion in a zoo? No, I can't.
No, that's something else entirely.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. People also ask me too, a couple of more things about pets, that they ask me if their pets will usually cross over. And the answer is yes. I found that 99.5% of all pets will cross over because they always know a good thing. They know, just like they know when we're in a good mood, they'll come over to us. When they pass, when their physical bodies pass and they become energy and that light to the other side opens, it's all good. It feels good and peaceful and calm. So they'll go to it. Plus, our loved ones in spirit are waiting there to welcome them. So you don't have any fear about our pets being left behind. Only people are really stubborn and goofy enough to stay behind as an earthbound ghost.
Yeah. Wow.
And if you ever have to make the decision to help your pet cross over out of pain, they want you to know that they understand it and that when they give you signs, like they stop interacting with you, they stop playing with you, when they distance themselves from you, that's a sign that they're ready to go. We had a dachshund named Franklin, who was very interactive, very personable with us. And when he was 16 and a half, and he had a spinal issue, a disc that was slipping, which was taking away his mobility, couldn't walk on his back legs. When we took him into a room, we carried him into a room with us, we knew it was near the end of his time. He found the strength to get up with his front legs and drag himself out of the room to another room. Purposely, he did not want to be with us because he was telling us it was his time. So they will show you that. And, whether it's not eating treats and so forth. And they always thank their parents from the other side for having the courage. And what that means is that you learned their lesson, which is unconditional love.
Yeah.
That's why they're here. Yeah. So don't feel guilty when you have to help your pet pass out of pain. They appreciate that you found that courage to do that.
I've had to do that once, only once, luckily. That was a pet rat of mine, actually. That was one of the pets that I had with an ex-girlfriend of mine. Rats are very sensitive to cancer growths. Big problem among the rats, especially the more like the tamed ones. And that was my first experience of losing a pet. I never really had pets. It wasn't until I was with that ex-girlfriend that we got pets. And you think it's just it's it's a pet rat. You know, they're not the most playful ones. Usually they don't grow very old, you know, 2-3 years maybe. Well, I think like it's also the circumstance surrounding it, because that ex-girlfriend of mine, she left very well shortly before all of that happened. So when I had to go to the vet and, you know, like ask him like, hey, can you do something? And all the vet could say is like, no, that's all we can do is, you know, have her be at peace. So that was really the, like the end of a whole chapter for me. Like everything that I had with that ex-girlfriend was, you know, like really caught off at that pet rat.
Yeah.
So that was pretty hard.
It's traumatic, really. So
Yeah.
for people who lose pets that they've had for even quite a while, like dogs and cats, we raise them like we raise human children, really, because we teach them language, we teach them routine, take them to the doctor, take them to school, teach them things, teach them to go to the bathroom, teach them to play well with others. And so we raise them the same way. And when they pass, it's emotionally devastating to us. So it's okay to feel grief. Because, I mean, when my dog Dolly passed, she's a Weimaraner. She's on the cover of one of my Pets in the Afterlife 3 book. I didn't want to talk to anybody for 2-3 weeks. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And, you know, and people say, well, you're a pet medium. I said, it doesn't matter. I was in deep grief. You know, don't talk to me.
No, you're still human.
Exactly.
It doesn't make the emotions any different. I mean, yeah, you know that, you know, they are at peace and all of that. But, you know, conscious thoughts and emotions, those are two very different layers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, frankly, people would often grieve more deeply for their pets than they would for people, because pets are our responsibility. They are totally our responsibility. And when they pass, even though we know they have short lives, it feels like we failed them, and we should not feel that way because they have short lives. I can't tell you how many people I have talked to who have said they've actually been suicidal after their pet passed, which is extremely sad. And if people are feeling that much grief, then they need to talk to a grief counselor, because I'm not a grief counselor. I'm a pet medium. And they need to know that the love of their pet lasts forever, and your pet will always give you signs. We mentioned earlier numbers. Repeating numbers are something that what spirits will give. Since Dolly passed away on October 20th, 2020, I have seen repeating numbers every single day, every day. And I know they're from her every day. So keep an eye out for those. There's all kinds of signs, and spirits let us know that they're okay and they're around and they'll guide us. And that love just connects us forever until we get to the other side where they're all waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. In the end,
I just wanted to throw that all out there before I forget.
No, that's beautiful. And yeah, in the end, we will all be reconnected again on the other side of the veil. It's just some will be waiting for us a little longer than others.
Yes.
Wow. This has been amazing. This has been beautiful. Actually, I never knew that there was so much to it. I've spoken to mediums before, of course, but never a pet medium. And yeah, you know, me being a cat dad, I mean, Timmy, of course, had to make himself known. He always does that.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever met another medium who's a scientist, because that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, because often you'll find people that say that like science and beliefs or gifts like mediumship are diametrically opposed to each other. Like it's either science, which, you know, is all about the physical and understanding the physical and understanding how the world works and all things of the world in the world. And then there is the spiritual, the other side of the veil, the passing over, what stays behind, what goes on. So I think it's awesome that, like through science, you actually understand it it all better. And the way you have explained it all, it makes a whole lot of sense, actually, both
Thank you.
spiritually and scientifically. And I definitely feel like we shouldn't keep those two apart. They are complementary to each other, as you have proven in this almost hour and a half now.
I think, yeah, for a long time. But yeah, I think so. So my goal is to explain the paranormal with science and make it normal, so that everybody understands it.
From paranormal to normal. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a title in that. I'll have to ponder on it.
It would be fun to speak with your wife too, with her experiences some other time.
Just bad timing, chores, and all of that. But yeah, she has stories to tell, and she always loves it when another medium is on. And those are easy shows for me too, because I can just sit back and be more kind of like the producer and everything. Just like throw up a ball every now and then, and I know that she takes it and runs with it. So those are easy shows for me, and just awesome. And a lot of fun for her. So yeah, I will, and I'm sure when I show her this, when I tell her all of this, I mean, she's already kind of bummed out that she had to miss it. So all the more reason to do this again sometime with my wife actually present.
That'd be wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I mean, this has been such a pleasure to talk with you and connect across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah. It's been great. I've learned a lot, actually, and a lot of puzzle pieces fell into place, and a lot more to ponder on as well. And
thank you.
Makes me appreciate my cats even more as well.
Awesome.
Even though they are pain in the ass sometimes, but
it's all love. It's all love. Love is not always easy. It can be painful too.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, where can the good people find your books, find your work? How can they contact you as a medium?
So all my books are available on Amazon EU, Amazon.com, Amazon Canada, whatever Amazon platform you're on, they should be there. My website is robgutro.com. It's my last name. Or if you can't spell my last name, just put in petspirits.com. Goes to the same place.
Okay.
Yeah, makes it easier. And I'm all over social media, so you can just find me anywhere. And again, this has been such a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah. For sure. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. It's a good way to end the weekend. It being Sunday and all, it's also a very good day to talk about things like this. I will, of course, make sure that the links to your website and your books are in the description box down below.
Thank you.
First time having a pet medium on the show. I never even knew it was a thing, but hey, the more you know, the more you learn. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you had fun as well. Hope you learned as much as I did, or perhaps even more. Who knows? Make sure to leave a like on the video. I post something nice in the comments. Maybe a story about your pets. We all have stories. We've all had pets. Don't lie. You have, even if they're not officially yours. Maybe cat from the neighborhood that adopted you instead of the other way around. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so you do get notified whenever a new upload releases and whenever I do my live room reading shows with Zaralath again as well. For everything else, go to our website, www.greyhornpagans.com. Everything can be found on there, from the tribe to the podcast to the growth of Odin and everything else that we associate ourselves with. Last but not least, yes, it's a whole laundry list that I have to go through. A big thank you to our sponsor, Shop Reclaim Repurpose, and their amazing Nefertafel set, or Viking chests. Beautifully handcrafted, all handcrafted, handmade. Small entrepreneur, one-man show, does it all himself. Go to shopreclaimrepurpose.etsy.com, get yourself a awesome Nefertafel set, and use code STEINFOXTAFEL, TAFL, to get a 10% discount. You are helping me, you are helping him, you are helping so many other people by just doing that. Thank you all. Rob, thank you again. It has been a pleasure. And until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
This was yet another amazing episode of the Greyhorn Pagans Podcast. We thank you all for watching. We thank you all for listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified whenever we upload something new. Support us on Patreon for early access and for everything else that we do with the tribe, for everything else that we do with the podcast. Find us on www.greyhornpagans.com. For now, we thank you, and until next time.